The 8BitDo Lite 2 is, as the name suggests, the follow-up to the 8BitDo Lite, which was a weird controller that had two D-pads and inline shoulder buttons. Except this time around, they've removed all of the weirdness and the layout is what you would expect from a conventional modern controller. But is it any better? And was changing the layout a good idea? Let's find out. With the old Lite model, the double D-pads for sticks and buttons for D-pad arrangement meant that it was a complete non-starter for most people. And for those that were willing to embrace its weirdness, it was really relegated to being just for use in 2D games. That was a pity, as personally, once I got used to it, I found it okay for most of the older retro games. For games that did require the use of sticks, then clearly this wasn't going to win any awards. I mean, the on-off nature of digital is never going to be great when what you actually need is an analog stick. But it got me by in a pinch with a few games. But this video isn't about the original Lite, I just think it's worth remembering what the original was like and the features it had when looking at the newer Lite 2 model, because I'll be referencing back to the original throughout this video. As you'd expect from 8BitDo, the build quality of the Lite 2 is top-notch, and it feels solid and robust in the hand. However, you would think that considering the original had a couple of decent sized D-pads on it, even if they were ridiculously clicky, that 8BitDo would have managed to put one the same size on the Lite 2. After all, the body of the controller is the same size and the buttons as a D-pad layout on the original Lite were just under 22mm apart. So I'm baffled as to why they felt they needed to put in a shrunken D-pad that is only about 18mm wide when there is clearly space for the larger D-pads they previously used. In terms of size, the new D-pad definitely is not an improvement, but where it does score points is in being a lot quieter than the very loud and clicky D-pads on the Lite. As far as the ABXY buttons go, the buttons on the Lite 2 are clicky, but noticeably less so than those on the original Lite. And the size of the buttons are pretty much identical between the old and new models. The thumbsticks are the same style and size as those you would find on a Nintendo Switch Lite. Personally, I'm not a fan of convex sticks, but given that they're the same size as the Switch Lite sticks, then I'd imagine any caps you can get for those sticks will also work with these. For anyone that wants to add a bit more width and have concave tops to their sticks. And obviously, as you'd expect from 8BitDo, these support L3 and R3 clicks. Which takes us on to another of the big changes, and that is the shoulder buttons. The L1, R1 buttons are the same length as before, and can be pressed anywhere along that length to activate them. But on the Lite 2, they're half the height that they were on the original Lite. Obviously, as a result of this, there is a risk that they're going to be harder to hit and easier to miss. But in practice, I didn't find that to be the case. The reason for the slimmed down L1 and R1 buttons is to free up some space to help accommodate the L2 and R2 triggers. The small inline buttons that the Lite used have now been replaced with more conventional triggers. Although obviously, at this price point, and given the size of the controller, these are digital rather than analog. Running it through Gamepad Tester shows that this is of the same high quality as just about all of 8BitDo's other products, with all the buttons and triggers responding as you would expect, and the sticks work well, and with no noticeable dead zones. In gameplay, the controller is excellent, regardless of the type of game being played. The performance was good, with no noticeable sign of any lag or latency. In terms of how comfortable it is to hold, I've got to say that when you look at the sales page for the product, 3 out of the 4 people pictured didn't seem to be holding it in a way that I found would even support the controller in your hands if you were using it for gameplay. The 4th picture is similar to how I found myself holding it, using my fingers as a rest, so the controller was stable and comfortable, and I could press buttons without the controller slipping out my hands. But I guess each to his own. So at just $35, the price is good and it performs really well. but I probably won't be using it. Why? Well, I like to carry around a small controller, so if I'm ever stuck somewhere, I can get a quick bit of retro gaming in. Typically it would be one of these that I can easily slip into a case I keep my phone in. Now 8BitDo described the Lite 2 as an ultra-portable controller, but it's twice as thick as its predecessor, and the sticks and triggers get caught on things. And they don't make a travel case for it. They do for this, but not the controller that's meant to be the portable controller for playing on the go. So for me, the extra bulk, the lack of a case to protect it, and the fact that without protection the sticks are going to get buggered up, just makes it a non-starter for travel purposes. So would I use this at home, in front of the TV? No. And why would I when I have numerous more comfortable controllers that are far better suited to gaming in front of a TV or computer screen? So at the end of the day, I'm left wondering, who is it aimed at? What audience is it for? I feel they've screwed up on the portable aspect of the controller compared to the original model, and I just don't see anyone buying this to game with in front of a telly or computer. The sales page shows it being used in front of a Switch and Switch Lite. But why? How is this an improvement over the built-in controls the Switch already has? If this is something you would buy and use, then let me know down in the comments section why you would buy it and in what situation you would use it, because I'd love to know what use case people see for this. I'm genuinely interested. And if you were interested in this controller, then you'll almost certainly be interested in 8BitDo's similar but very different Lite SE controller. And yeah, this one is well worth checking out. Click the link that's on screen now to see what I thought of this one.